There's an old school movie called Razor's Edge. And if they were to do a remake today, that movie, in this breaking story, would star, of course, Donald Trump and one Stephen Miller. Yeah, that guy. And you may not realize or hear about him a ton, but I got news for you today. You're going to be hearing more and more from him, and it's not good news, because this is the guy behind Trump, and he's easy to hide behind, who's really going about pushing forth the Project 2025 agenda and the destruction of the separation of the three branches of power. And I'm going to show you that story in just a few seconds. I hope you're sitting down when I do. Prior to that, let's note the hypocrisy that Trump and Miller have when it comes to the separation of the three branches of power. Take a quick look at this before I show you the story.
The Constitution gives Congress the power of the purse, but now President Trump and Elon Musk's Doge project are trying to grab that power away from Congress. And so far, most House and Senate Republicans don't seem to be pushing back. But the issue is front and center after Musk announced he's shutting down the U.S. Agency for International Development. But Congress needs to be involved in that decision. While Democrats are saying this is an undemocratic power grab by an unelected billionaire,
Musk has no right.
Republicans say it's an overdue review of foreign aid.
It's in need of reform. It's in need of transparency.
But concerns about ceding power to the executive started with a memo from the Office of Management and Budget, directing all federal agencies to pause all grants without any heads up to Congress. The memo has been rescinded, but the White House says the broader effort to rein in spending continues. So far, few congressional Republicans show any willingness to go against Trump or Musk.
But turning now to other news out of the White House today, despite once again being told by a federal judge that their actions exceed the scope of the executive's authority, President Trump and his administration continued their fight with the judicial branch.
Oh, but wait, there's more. Listen to what Miller just finished saying.
Just 2 days after Trump passed his 100-day mark in office, his administration is making crystal clear they will not reverse on their collision course with the judiciary.
We are not going to allow a district court judge to try to become the Secretary of State. Secretary Rubio is the one who, under his leadership and direction at the State Department, is managing the day-to-day relationship with El Salvador.
That comment in response to a question about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, one of the migrants deported to El Salvador without due process by the Trump administration.
I mean, God bless him. He said the out loud part out loud. You somehow think that what the Secretary of State wants to do doesn't have anything to do with the judiciary branch? I don't know. If you're breaking laws or going against the Constitution? It actually does, Stephen. And in this breaking story, they decided, and a group decided, it's always someone else, it's never just Trump, but a group decided to go after the Supreme Court, and Stephen Miller, ironically, is associated with that group. Here is the story.
Group founded by Trump ally Stephen Miller sues John Roberts in bid to control courts. A legal group founded by White House aide Stephen Miller sued Chief Justice John Roberts in a brazen but unlikely attempt to seize control of the federal court system. In the lawsuit filed last week, America First Legal, AFL, argued that the Judicial Conference of the U.S. and the Administrative Office of the U.S. Courts, two key judicial branch bodies that frame policy and handle the basic functions of the federal courts, are executive branch agencies. Such agencies must be overseen by the president, not the courts, the group, represented by attorney Will Scalinos, claimed, adding that the lawsuit preserves the separation of powers but also keeps the courts out of politics. The Judicial Conference is a policy-making body for the lower federal courts established by Congress to promote public confidence in the integrity and impartiality of the judiciary. The administrative office handles the nuts and bolts of the federal judiciary, like budgets and organizing court data. AFL, which dubs itself the long-awaited answer to the ACLU, claimed the two judicial bodies are a part of the executive branch by filing Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, lawsuits against them. FOIA strictly applies to the executive branch and independent federal regulatory agencies, but not to Congress or the federal courts. The group named Roberts as a defendant because the Judicial Conference is headed by the Chief Justice. it named Robert Conrad, director of the administrative office, as a defendant. The group argued that it's necessary to bring the bodies under the executive branch because members of Congress, who have the constitutional authority to define most of the federal court system, asked the Supreme Court in 2023 to create or adopt an ethics code for justices. The request was in response to allegations that Justice Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas accepted, and did not disclose, lavish gifts from conservative figures who eventually had business before the court. Recently, the media and liberal lawmakers have sought to undermine the political independence of Article III courts, the lawsuit reads. The lawsuit is a continuation of the Trump administration's extensive effort to break down the separation of powers and usurp the constitutional powers of the other federal branches. In targeting the conference and administrative office, AFL is threatening both the court's independence and Congress's authority to organize courts below the Supreme Court. This is the second time AFL has attempted to FOIA the Judicial Conference and the Administrative Office. Last year, the group's FOIA suit against the bodies quickly failed after the Supreme Court's legal counsel said the Information Act did not apply to judicial branch entities. Miller left AFL in January to rejoin the White House, but has retained close ties to the group, which has not named a new president since his departure. AFL recently promoted reporting from Axios, indicating that the group is a key part of Miller's larger mission to make diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) programs illegal across the country, and has become a private enforcement arm of the White House's assault on DEI.
Oh no, district court judges and federal judges do not get to tell us what we want to do out of the State Department? Really? Maybe you can hearken back to those 10 lawsuits that got filed against Hillary Clinton when she was Secretary of State related to Benghazi and 4 unfortunate deaths. Interesting how the GOP back then went straight after someone on the executive branch and what they felt they were responsible for or did. But now, oh no. We in the executive branch get to do whatever it is the hell we say we want to do, and we don't have to listen to anything when it comes from the courts. And that, John Roberts, includes the Supreme Court. That, folks, is the razor's edge, and that is where we are. Suing the Supreme Court. Have you ever in your entire life to this point ever had to wonder, regardless of the politicization of the Supreme Court, but ever had to wonder if the Supreme Court had a right to rule in on the behavior of the executive or congressional branch, the legislative branch of government? No. But in this administration, now you do, or might. So cross your fingers, hold your breath, but don't hold it for too long, because the Trump administration just sued the Supreme Court to try and take away the actual power they have. As said, keep smiling, enjoy your life, stay frosty.